All set.
All right, I am Mayor Meg Grenier, and as it is 6 o'clock, I will call this meeting to order. For anyone outside the village staff who is attending this video conference, I would ask if you would please identify yourselves.
Steve Boulay.
Mike McKay is there, but he's not saying anything. So,
Yeah, Mike McKay and Susan.
okay, thanks. Looks like that's it from outside. And Renee. I'll do roll call of village staff. Deputy Mayor Seth Harris.
Present.
Trustee Diane Foley.
Present.
Trustee Brian Marsh.
Present.
Trustee Tim Lane.
Present.
Clerk Don Hannerhan.
Present.
Treasurer Bill Smith.
Present.
Deputy Clerk Treasurer Nicole Ogden.
Present.
Village Attorney Steve Rafus.
Present.
Police Chief Ryan St. Gelais.
Present.
Intern Isabel Smirstick.
Present.
And did I miss anybody? No, I don't think so. Okay. On behalf of the village board, I would ask all residents that we please keep our first responders, all essential workers, and those affected by this pandemic, as well as the victims and their families in Buffalo, California, and Texas, in our thoughts and prayers. Governor Kathy Hochul signed legislation extending virtual access to public meetings under New York State's Open Meetings Law, which allows New Yorkers to virtually participate in local government meetings during the COVID-19 pandemic until June 8th, 2022. The legislation which was initially implemented by executive order during last year's state of emergency, allows state and local government meetings that are normally held in person to be held remotely instead, as long as the public has the ability to view or listen to the meeting, and as long as the meeting is recorded and later transcribed. This statutory change will reduce the need for the congregation at public meetings while the Delta and Omicron variant are prevalent, while ensuring the public business can continue. We need a motion to approve the May 2nd board meeting minutes.
I move to approve the board meeting minutes of May 2nd, 2022.
I had some amendments, but I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Warrant number 23, general, $45,314.12. Water, $15,916.21. Sewer, $3,287.50, totaling $64,517.83. That's your warrants.
So moved, Brian.
Second, Tim.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
We have a bunch of transfers. Miscellaneous, $1,338 to go into court officer, $714. Part-time overtime court clerks, $624. From administrative assistant, $252. To contractual, $1,891. Contractual law, $1,361. From the contingency account, $4,225. To computers and software, $195. Clerk miscellaneous, $860. Contractual services, $3,170. From the police, part-time patrolman, $5,595. To police overtime, $3,900. Telecommunicator overtime, $1,275. Miscellaneous equipment, $260. Police vehicle maintenance, $160. From street vehicle maintenance, $5,255. To street supplies, $100. Contractors, $155. Economic opportunity, $400. Economic development personnel services, $400. Zoning legal notices, not $190. To zoning personnel services, $190. Landfill charges, $12,700. To refuge, gas and oil, $1,200. beautification, $500. Hospital and medical insurance, $11,000. In the water fund, $6,500 from the contingency fund to engineering, $650. Well, correction, $6,500. Oh, excuse me. In the sewer fund, the contingency account, $5,115. The county sewer assessment, $5,115. And that's your transfers.
Can I
I
ask
just-
one?
I just wanted to correct on, for the vehicle maintenance to the contractors, you had said 500 instead of 5,155.
Oh, sorry, that was my mistake.
Bill, can I ask one question about the land refuse charges, the transfer out? Is that because we've been, the rate on recycling was reduced?
Oh, yeah, we got a lot of, it's just amazing that they're not charging us anything for recycling.
Okay,
We
so we
have,
had extra money in that account?
and, you know, I had extra in there because we didn't know what was gonna happen, so.
Okay,
Going to that point, now the transfers, what you send us usually shows, where the money's being moved from and to, but information like that, could we have a note beneath, maybe just a short note, one, even if it's just a couple of words to say what's behind or the reason for the transfer?
Oh, sure.
That'd be
Sure.
great. Yeah, that'd be helpful.
I can tell you a couple off the top of my head. The street outside contractors, that was for street sweeping and also for removing the tank, the fuel tank here. Those two guys put that over. The police telecommunicators and the police overtime. The part-timers aren't, there's no part-timers in telecommunicators, or there's only a couple. And the part-time patrolmen are doing something else, I guess. Let me think of what else we got here. The contracted services in the clerk from the contingent account, that's for general code we're paying part of that this year and part next year for their updating our code. Trying to think of the big ones. Contractual for in the mayor's group, that was for what was spent for NICOM, and then for the contractual expense for law, that will be reimbursed because that comes out of that's for when Steve works on zoning and stuff, and we bill our escrow accounts for whoever he works on. So we'll get that back.
Thank
But I
you,
just
Bill.
don't have it yet. So I've got the escrow account now. I just have to transfer the money. I have to write a check from escrow to general fund to put it back in those accounts. Court officer, they got more courts. He added an extra court a month. And I don't know if there's anything else. Oh, the sewer assessment, that was my fault. I was a little short on the budget, but I wasn't thinking, because we do get $50,000 or $60,000 from Colony, so that offsets that by a lot. Our bill is not what's in the budget. It just has to be, because that's the bill they send us. I pay that, and then I get the money from Colony to offset part of it.
So Colony reimburses us for a portion of our cost that comes through our line. Is that?
That's right, because they have, part of Colony, and it's a big part. I'm not saying it's a big part of their bill, but it's our bill. It's they have anything south of Siena College and east of one of those streets off of Osborne. All those houses and schools and everything along all those streets comes down and goes into our sewer line by the nunnery on Menands Road. And there's a meter there for Colony. So anything comes from Colony gets metered, then it goes into our system. So based on that meter reading, We get anywhere from 17 to 20 some percent of the bill. So.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Tim.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Nicole, you ready?
As I'll ever be. So this is a continuation on the discussion we had about upgrading our water meters for the residents in Menands. So we're looking to upgrade all of the village residential water meters installed prior to 2019 by entering a professional service agreement with Thai Sales. Since we have their software, the systems, installations, endpoints, and financing will all be inextricably integrated. We wouldn't have to necessarily go out to bid for it. So I think mostly all of you were part of the discussion 3 weeks ago at this point. And I guess I'm not sure what to repeat and what to just kind of, if I'm answering questions on it or what.
So we can talk maybe about the financing aspect of it and what the resolution would include as far as returning the water service back on and however
Yeah.
that was going to be worded.
Okay, so to do the financing for the project, there was a tweak in this professional service agreement because we already paid for the software since we already have it. So the total project would be $425,516 roughly. And then we're looking to do financing, which would be for $500,000, which would cover in the event something were to happen to any residents that their service is interrupted because of our project. We have contingency money to repair and restore the water service. So that would be a 12-year annual payment of $52,952.01 through government capital. And before, it was $52,000 for the 10-year plan without that extra contingency money in case there were any issues. So we took into consideration, you know, if something were to happen where the lines were to get damaged, we didn't want to leave people without water, obviously. So we wanted to look at alternate options, which is why we went with the 12-year with the more money.
Okay. Anybody on the board have any questions?
Well, Meg, we talked about, you know, I guess some of the public had mentioned the return on this and whether it's worth the cost, and you know, and discussing this with Nicole at length, and I think is Jason on?
No,
He's not.
I sent him a text and he didn't get back to me, so I don't know where he is.
So the cost, I just want to talk about the cost of this because I think that's an issue that a couple members of the public had some concerns over. But while the payments are over the 12 years to get this done, the savings to the village extends well beyond the 12 years of those payments. So the radio receivers and the meters that they're going to be replacing could potentially last far longer than that. So I guess it's, you know, it's 12 years worth of payments, but the return is far greater than that. So if you figure that the service length of this investment is 20 years or 25 years, I mean, I think that the actual cost is inflated based on just looking at the annual payments for the 12 years. So I mean, you know, I think that's an important factor when we consider this is that the payments are for 12 years, but the benefit is going to last potentially double that.
Right, and then to your point, the village's meters that we have right now that we're, running into issues with are 30 years old right now. So the useful life on the meters, from what Jason said, was 20 years at least. But at that point, that's when the accuracy starts to dwindle and things like we're running into. So it's just kind of like an infrastructure upgrade that we have to do in order to keep track of our water and make sure our billing is accurate and everything.
As well as, just for the record, as you know, I contacted the village clerk for the village of Greenwich, and they underwent a similar project, and their net savings in the first year, as we said, was $8,000. Now, remember, they're about a tenth of the size of the village of Menands. So in terms of customers, in terms of water customers, and both commercial and residential. So assuming, considering that their meters weren't as old as ours, it seems to reason that we would be looking at, the 80,000 gallon, the 80,000, and I said that wrong. It was $8,000 and 80,000 gallons then that we would,
$80,000.
Thank you. I'm sorry. So it seems to reason that we would be looking at somewhere in the ballpark of $80,000 if we extrapolate it properly.
Potentially.
Potentially, right.
Nicole, did you want to address the conversation you had with the guys that would do the work at the minimum issues that they've had?
There was so much conversation.
The one aspect I think that I find, very attractive as well, that I'm not sure that anyone's mentioned, but what Nicole did actually, will be the time saving of the staff doing the readings. I can't help but think that's going to be, make us more productive on that side. So.
All right. So when I had the conversation with Bob, he would be the head of the project. He said that, so I guess there's going to be a lot of information coming out of this, including stuff about like the lead testing, the lead service testing. So bringing that up again, I'm just going to kind of go through what he was saying in conversation from all the points that came up from the meeting that the questions were raised. So he said that they would repair the curb boxes / stops if the village wanted them to. Typically, only 4 to 6 of them per agreement need new curb stops, and they would hold off and do all of them at the end. And the estimated cost per repair would be between $1,500 and $1,800 with volume installs. Total for excavation for the group of them. And I was talking with someone from Greenbush, and they have like a mobile home park there, and they just put in new meters for those people like from nothing. And so they ended up installing meter pits with the DPW to put in the new curb stops, and that was close to 100 of them. So these guys, I mean, they're all professional plumbers. They can handle like any concerns or needs that arise. So that was nice to hear. In Greenwich, which Seth was speaking with, they had 10 that needed to be replaced, and they have it where the curb stop is the village's property. In my research, many villages actually own the curb stops because that's their way to shut off the water. But other villages do offer financing to pay for that stuff, but that's neither here nor there. So during the installation, they will be doing an inventory of what kind of services people have going into their homes. So for lead services, they won't put the new meter on the lead lines, and they'll be bringing that to the village's attention. There are options for those people like in the future based off of stuff coming down the road for that kind of thing. But basically it just sounds like it's going to be, this project is going to be a step in kind of kicking off all the things that the village needs to do, because we need to get an inventory of the lead lines that are by October 2024. And that's going to be the simplest way of doing it too. So it's kind of like killing two birds with one stone, getting everything up to date and an inventory. I guess other questions on that? I don't know. Been talking about it for so long.
Mike McKay has his.
Yep, I was just gonna say that. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry. Thank you. I have two questions. One question might be more for Bill. Nicole, you mentioned financing $50,000 in a contingency, which would be over a 12-year period.
Yeah.
Bill, would that money be better used taking out of the village's own contingency versus financing $50,000 over 12 years?
No, it's $50,000 a year. So we
$50,000 a
don't
year.
have, yeah. And when I looked at the rates, when we did the last rate increase of 10%, we reduced sewer. We're going to have enough money in water to pay the $50,000 a year.
And then
So-
not only that, but because it's the government financing, and we can still, anything that's left over, we can apply towards that year's payment. So it's not like we'll just be hanging on to that. We could always put it back onto this financing.
So maybe I'm confused. I thought you said at the beginning they were going to finance so much, and then there's $50,000 contingency in case something had to be repaired or done.
Right. That,
That's
you know, the
50,000
bill
a
is
year.
like 450,000 for the meters and install and all that. And then the 50,000 was if something went wrong and we had to replace your water line because we broke it or something. That was
Right.
there. If we don't use that, we can take that off of the 450 and that'll lower.
But that's 50,000 one time, right?
Right,
Okay.
right. That's a one-time deal.
Okay. My second, and I'm just going to make this point. Even after we talked, I think it was 2 or 3 meetings ago, it just seems to me that you don't know what the savings is going to be. You talk to someone and said it's 8,000. Maybe we're going to have the same. I guess my point is that you don't know. And I think when you're spending this type of money to and debt, put the village in debt for more money, you have to know what the result's going to be. Have some idea of what it's going to be. Plan for. I mean, it's like I'm just very disappointed that there's not a better understanding of what the actual savings. We think there's going to be a savings. There'd be a savings in time. Perhaps there's a savings in staff reading meters. I don't know that staff time and reading meters equates to this much money. I'm very disappointed that we don't have a better idea of what the impact is going to be on this borrowing. So that's just my thought.
The project isn't exclusive about saving money. These meters have to be replaced. So by doing it, it's going to add the benefit of financing, but the majority of it is because the ones that are over 20 years old are not reading accurately. So we're not getting a good gauge in spending money on water that we're not, that aren't being billed back to the residents. Eric, are you there?
I'm here, Merrick. Yep.
Did you want to add to that? Because you had a good perspective on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. And it is difficult. Again, this is an infrastructure replacement project. We can expect some increase in revenue because these older meters are suspected to be reading low, right? So when we replace all the meters, we're going to record more water and bill more water. We have no way to know what that is. It's all speculation of how far under recording the meters are. So that's the the pure dollars and cents piece. There is a significant labor savings both for Mike and his team. We're not going to be walking around to every home recording meters any longer. This is going to be done with a device in the garbage truck, and it's going to be picked up in I forget, Nicole, exactly what it is, but it's like minutes or an hour as opposed to days and days of folks walking around the village collecting meter data. And then it's going to simplify bookkeeping in the office, and in terms of how how the data is produced and transcribed into invoices in the invoice process. So it is very difficult to put hard numbers on it, other than we know we're going to increase revenue to some degree. We don't know what that is, and we know there's a significant labor savings.
And then not to just, kind of piggyback off Eric here. So we started doing meter reading on May 2nd, and we're still waiting on 23 readings before I can do my thing. So once this goes live for all the residential homes, we're talking all we have to wait is for maybe some access for commercials. But in our standardization that we previously did, now that it's Neptune, they deal directly with Jason, talking commercial properties. They deal directly with Jason, and Jason gets them set up with the same radio option. So eventually the entire village will be able to be read within an hour. Talk about, things just unbelievable time savings, and just going through and having to get into properties and dealing with so many different issues to get our readings.
Yeah, we're moving in the 21st century with this project, right? This is sort of long overdue to get to this level of technology. Most of our neighboring communities have this type of technology, and we're moving towards it.
And it'll get us a better handle on the actual water usage, because the meters will be reading accurately instead of slow or.
And I should add, from what I found out from the mayor of Lake Placid, that also just is finishing going through a meter replacement project like this, that as he was saying, he says, even if they only save $1, it's something that has to get done anyway, because they really don't have an accurate read on the water for so many different customers that have antiquated meters. So it's just something that has to get done. And in the process, you assume because of that, because you don't have an accurate read on it, that you will realize some additional revenue, or at least some cost savings.
Steve Belay, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just kind of piggybacking off what Mike was saying, not having any kind of accurate dollars about the savings versus the cost of the project, but also, mentioning there's quite a few customers that already have radio, and they have newer meters. So sometimes, I was thinking, what's the cost benefit of just getting the radio setups for everybody that has them? But also, you were mentioning the life cycle of the meters. So with this project, my guess is everybody's getting a new meter, say this year, if the project goes through, and then 20 years, we're going to be doing the exact same thing to ensure that everybody has accurate meters. So like this is going to be an every 20-year cycle, I'm guessing.
No, I actually said exactly the opposite. They could potentially last for far longer than that. And that's why I think analyzing whether the $50,000 for 12 years is really the benchmark, where the benefit of this could potentially last 25 or 30 years. And that's why I asked for Jason's input, that those radio receivers could last far longer. I mean, I have one in Troy that's, I think, 32 years old.
So I think also part of the benefit to this is right now our billing system reads to the 1,000. And then, so like we read for residential, if you're under an inch, which all the residents are, if you have a 1 inch meter or less, we read from left to right and take the first 4 digits. And then once we hit that 4th one, times it by 1,000. And that's how you get your consumption. And that's how we bill. So once we get everyone to the same exact meter, where we can get down to the gallon, we'll have a much clearer picture of our consumption too, because 1,000 gallons is, a lot once you start adding, those extra 900 gallons, 978, whatever, on the back end. Like we're going to end up getting a way better picture of like where our water is going and who's using what, and just more accurate reading all around too.
And this is also going to be where it could be read more often. So if somebody has a leak in their house, we're not going to wait 6 months to find it. It could be found long before that, right?
Right.
All right, Mike, did you have something else you wanted to say? I see.
No, never mind. It doesn't matter.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, if anybody wants to move on this,
I guess I just want to clarify this one more time. The village owns the meters. So the village is responsible for replacing the meters. So there's a cost to the village, period. The ability to redo all of them at the same time allows the system to be standard throughout the village. So that's a cost that the village already needs to spend money on. The second issue is by doing these meters, we then will inventory the type of lines, especially the lead ones, to be in compliance with that task that, again, is a village expense that we are required to undertake. So by combining those two efforts into one, there's a savings in doing that those two tasks. The radio receivers are an additional expense, yes, but they're on top of the meters that need to be replaced that we already own. So I guess while it seems like this is an upgrade or whatever, it is an upgrade, but it's doing a task that we already needed to upgrade at our expense as part of an infrastructure project. So I guess, I just want to make that clear. This is not wanting to spend money. This is needing to spend money, but tweaking it a little bit more than we have now in order to achieve a greater savings because of the labor. So I just want to make sure that everybody understands that. So
Brian, if I could chime in for 1 second, I think another reason this is a prudent choice is that further delay means further meter deterioration, which means meters leaking, meters having plumbing problems and emergency repairs, and paying inflated costs for emergency response and that sort of thing. So I think this to me seems like the prudent path.
And to your point, the cost of everything still keeps going up. So the longer we wait, the more meters are going to cost too.
Steve,
So
did you have one more thing to say?
yeah, I just wanted to say, so you're saying inventorying the lead lines. Now, is the idea of inventorying those that anybody in the village that has a lead line is going to be required to replace those?
No, I attended a workshop on that. No, but you do have to then be encouraged to, and if you don't, then you've been made aware of that, and the village can make you some couple of different offers that we'll explain at the time. But nobody's going to be required to replace their lead lines unless they're not operable.
There is a new mandate that's went into effect in December that we have to comply, like Nicole said, in October of next year to inventory the lines in the village and then go from there. So this will be an added benefit by helping us do that without having to incur an additional cost to go out and do that inventory. All right. Anybody on the board looking to move forward on this? If they make
So
a motion.
moved.
Who was that?
Second,
Who said so
Brian
moved? Brian,
moved it. I seconded it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Don, I guess,
Yeah,
or whoever doing the folding machine.
yeah, I'm gonna do it. Right now, we currently have a machine that folds like the activities. It's not working properly, and it's to the point where it can't be repaired anymore. Doing some research, I'd like to replace the folding machine with a machine that will fold up to 2 different documents, and it's automatically inserted into an envelope. This will help with, right now, for example, when Nicole does the water bills or the tax bills, she sits there and folds it by hand because the machine won't fold properly to put the addresses out in front, and we had some, last time we tried it, we destroyed some bills. We had to recreate them. Right now, Sheila Hyatt does our activities, goes through and takes almost 2 hours just to copy the activities, fold them. Then she takes another day where she manually stuffs all of them. There's 1,200 every 2 weeks. This machine will do the same thing for close to an hour and a half and have them all done. And it could be set up for different things. I'd like we did go out to bid for it, and I got 4 responses. Repeat business, the total cost is $4,335. Metroland business was $4,262. That's also under state contract. Eastern business was $5,971, and Pitney Bowes was $4,513. So I'd like the permission to purchase from Metroland for the $4,262.50 for the folding machine.
I'll make a motion for Metroland Business.
Second, Seth.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay,
Personal thank you.
What's that, Nicole?
A personal thank you on that.
Oh,
No more paper cuts?
What are you going to do with all the free time now?
You guys actually
Water.
have time. I just make it work.
Water.
all right, so we have a letter from the fire company regarding membership of 2 new members that the fire company had approved for their membership, Matthew Roberts and Mark Cady. They each passed the required background check. Just a little bit of an update on that. Ryan, the last discussion, well, you're limited to what you can do as far as background checks, correct?
Correct.
And then their names have to go to the sheriff's office for the background check to be done? Is that?
Yeah, they have to send them to the county.
Okay. So then they come back to the fire company. They said they did this on the May 3rd meeting, so there must be a pretty quick turnaround for them to have sent this to us already.
Yep.
So again, the background checks have been completed, and they are looking for these individuals to be approved as members of the fire company.
So moved.
Second, Seth.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And I said the names, right? Matthew Roberts and Mark Cady?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So sadly, Isabel is up, but only sadly because this is her last time. Her semester is coming to a close, and we can't thank her enough for everything she's done for the village. But Isabel, I'll turn it over to you to do your final report.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So yeah, this is my last economic development intern update, and today is my last day. But I do want to say thank you to everyone in the village. This has been one of the best experiences, and I really can't thank you guys for making it so interesting and memorable, even though it was remote for most of the time. So I'm just going to go over the projects I've done this semester. Some of them are completed, some of them are still in flux, but yeah. So for community outreach, I did 2 things. I hosted a virtual economic development intern meet and greet on Google Meet before the February 7th board meeting. Only 4 board members and 1 resident were in attendance, but it was still a really good conversation more than like a presentation. And they actually produced really good ideas. That's where the idea to have artists come to the food truck festival came from. So it was definitely a really good way to be integrated into the community. And then I also started publishing mini columns in the Menands activities letter. just to try and update the community members with all of the projects I've been working on. And that actually received a lot of positive feedback. I got a lot of emails from residents who really enjoyed it and who provided lots of input on everything from the food truck festival to the CGI videos and the historic signage. And a lot of them really enjoyed that. So that was really cool. And then the entrepreneurship bootcamp recruitment. So the Albany Chamber of Commerce hosts this bootcamp for local entrepreneurs. And this is something that Annika recommended to me because this is something she did. But basically, I got in touch with the woman who runs the bootcamp and asked her to basically plug the Village of Menands as a place that's open for business. So all of these entrepreneurs who are looking to start their own business would keep Menands in mind. And I also had the pleasure of being able to attend the Winter Legislative NICOM meeting, which was really great. It was the first time I was able to meet Seth and Meg in person, as well as dozens of other municipal officers. And they were all really, really helpful. And it was just a really great experience getting to attend all of the workshops and meet everybody else who's in local government. And they also produced ideas from funding opportunities to other things to help with like the property code enforcement. So it was a really great opportunity. And then the app idea, I had the pleasure of researching the Wayfinder interactive mobile apps, and I got to meet with app designers as well as the people who are behind not only Albany's local app, but their website. So just a lot of really good connections, and I was able to bring the story representative to the village board. So it was a really good learning experience, and hopefully it's something the village can do in the future. And then some of the more current projects. So for historical signage, something that came out of the app idea, trying to pair physical signs with online presences. So working with Sean, who's the webmaster, as well as both Kevin's, the village historian, and a consultant to try and work on historical interpretive signage, and also researching funding opportunities to try and start those around the village's 100th anniversary. And one of probably the biggest projects was organizing the food truck festival, which is set to start every Wednesday, starting July 13th in Ganser Smith Memorial Park. I know my family definitely wants to come to one, and everyone who's participating seems very enthusiastic about it. So hopefully it will bring a lot of foot traffic into the village. And the CGI digital partnership, another one of the big projects I did this semester. We actually just got the third video back, and it seems to be all finalized. So hopefully within the next week, we can have all the links to the videos, and they will be up on the website and on the village Facebook page. And Megan Seth wanted me to show the final video, so let me share that. Can everybody hear it?
Yeah, hit the little
Yes.
expand thing so you can go to full screen.
Okay.
There you go.
In Menands, the value of community organizations improves local quality of life by the interests and spirit those organizations uphold. Community organizations provide opportunities for friends and neighbors to give back, get involved, and come together while enjoying a sense of pride for the village they all share. Contact a community organization today and discover the contributions you can make through your participation and support.
There's a dedication to the village that the residents have to provide an essential service to their friends and family because this village is so close-knit. We've just recently started a junior membership program to where we're hoping to get more younger members to continue the tradition of firefighting here in Menands. We take a lot of pride in representing the village of Menands, not only in Menands itself, but outside with mutual aid calls and just our day-to-day presence in the village itself.
Isabel, it might be worthwhile to show the second one again. I know we had watched it at a meeting, but due to some technical glitches, we might not have gotten the best experience. So, and we did make a couple of tweaks, as people know, including one that Tim had suggested.
Okay, yeah. So that was the community relations
Local
video, or community organizations, and this is the quality of life video.
Residents have the unique pleasure of enjoying all the big city amenities and employment opportunities of the Albany area, while taking comfort in knowing they have the village of Menands to come home to. Your choice here include large single-family homes on larger lots with plenty of trees all around, charming starter family homes, newer construction options including single and multi-family units, apartments, and spacious loft conversions. For recreation and exercise, many residents like nothing more than a simple stretch of the legs. You'll see them out and about pedaling along the Mohawk Hudson bike path, walking in village parks, or hiking on Sage Estates Preserve.
Centrally located, we have about 4 miles of trails, and you can use it all seasons. In the fall, it's beautiful. In the winter, you can do it with snowshoes or skis. In the spring, it may be a little muddy, but that's okay. And the summer is absolutely perfect.
Other than exercising outdoors, Menands residents also spend time at village-sponsored events, such as summer concerts and movies in the park, the village community picnic, other seasonal events. Class has been in session at the Menands Union Free School District for more than 140 years. With an average of 36 students attending per grade, kindergarten to 8th grade classes, students benefit from smaller class sizes, close and personalized support they receive from faculty and staff.
Menands is a unique K-8 school and district with a dedicated staff serving a diverse student population of just over 300 students. We are dedicated to both academics, including Spanish instruction as early as kindergarten, a commitment to the arts, both visual and performing. Also, we have robust after-school opportunities for our students year-round, ranging from athletics to STEM clubs to our much appreciated drama club with our annual drama production.
For post-secondary education, close-to-home choices include Hudson Valley Community College, private colleges, and a public university, all within a 10-mile radius. To ensure public safety, village leaders continue to invest in its police department, protecting life and property within the boundaries of the village.
The department has its own communications and operates 24/7. We are a very community service oriented department and do many events throughout the year, like concerts in the park, Coffee with a Cop, and the village community night, to name a few. We're also involved with Menands School, and officers are there every day to greet the kids as they get off the bus in the morning. Here in Menands, we try to stay cutting edge when it comes to technology with computers, plate readers, and cameras in every vehicle. We also have a drone unit with 3 pilots having their FAA certification to fly. We're proud of the village Menands and the residents that we protect.
With its tree-lined parks and neighborhoods, historic places, mainstay local businesses, favorite restaurants, and community events, the village of Menands is beloved by residents who wouldn't choose to live anywhere else.
So, like I said, thank you to everyone who participated in the videos, which made the entire day and the entire process very helpful.
A lot of work went into that, Isabel. Thank you for everything you did on that. I think it turned out really good.
It really did. It really did. Yeah. And I like that the neighborhood stuff was added. That was good.
Absolutely. That was a good recommendation. And as I had told Isabel, while at the NICOM annual convention 2 weeks ago, one thing that that I learned is that video will be key to us receiving grant money, whether it be through the Downtown Revitalization Initiative or any of them. They look for some sort of a video or multimedia component to it. And I know when when Williamsville in Western New York, when they won it, they needed this. They used their CGI video, and that's what won that for them. So hopefully this will serve us well as just being a great promotion of the village.
I believe based on the contract, the village should have the videos for 3 years and then it's up for renewal. And CGI is in charge of finding all the partnerships and sponsorships. But they were also a really, really great company to work with. Everybody was super responsive and super kind. And I know that they do also a lot of work for NICOM, and they're just a great resource in general for any other future production needs.
Seth, didn't you say that different people that were at NICOM commented to you that they had seen it or something?
Yeah, so they had a booth. CGI's booth was right by the check-in table, so a lot of people stopped there and they asked, "So, what projects are you working on now?" And they showed us ours because ours is their most recent project. And people came up to me and said how great it was, how professional it looked, and a couple even wanted to visit Menands next time they're in the capital region. So they may be emailing us before the fall school training school. So that would be great. I know the mayor of Williamsville in particular, who had Tim and Brian and I had dinner with their delegation. They specifically want to visit right before or after the fall training school. So I think that's great.
Would be, yeah. Hope they do it.
Nice.
Absolutely.
All right. What else did you have, Isabel?
Oh, and just finally, one of the things I started towards the end of the internship was researching more into broadband. So the National Telecommunications and Information Administrative, we're hosting a bunch of webinars this spring for people all around the country. And basically, they are explaining more about digital equity and digital divide and how the new Infrastructure Act, and I think it's Congress, how they are offering, I think, millions of dollars for broadband coverage. And they're going to have these NOFOs or notice of funding opportunities become available around mid-May. So they should be coming out pretty soon because I know their last webinar was within the last week. And they have a couple that the village could definitely qualify for. And it includes not only improving current broadband coverage, but also expanding it. And that's it. Thank you again to everyone who helped me throughout the internship, especially Seth and Meg, but also Dawn and Nicole for answering all my emails and all my questions. I really appreciated it, and I really enjoyed this experience.
It was nice working with you. Good luck with everything in the future.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks for working with us.
Thank
And
you.
we're looking forward to seeing you at the food truck event, or one of them anyway.
I'll definitely be at one of them.
Great.
Yeah, I look forward to it too. And as I just want to say, not only has it been a pleasure working with you, we can honestly say you've left the village better than you found it, which is great. You've given us a lot of resources that will allow us to continue to progress in economic development. And not all interns can say that when they finish an internship. So that's a wonderful thing to feel, and certainly to put on your resume, and a feather to put in your cap. So nicely done. And I also look forward to seeing you and meeting your family at the food truck events this summer.
I'd say from my standpoint, if you need a referral at any point, let me know. I'd be happy to do that.
Same here.
That means a lot. Thank you so much, everyone.
All right. Have a letter from Bill Garvey. Since the Menands Farmers Market is an important engine in the economic development and commerce to our village, the Capital District region, he has his own plan to improve and modernize the Menands Farmers Market, which includes reusing Art Deco style building number 8 for offices and frozen and canned food warehouse. My plan should be done for health, welfare, social, commercial, and economic reasons. One of the topics during the April 25th Village Board meeting was discussion dealing with the repaving project of the pavilion in Garrison Smith Park. He supports that repaving for welfare, public safety, efficiency, and quality of life reasons. That project has been completed. It's nice, smooth now, no longer a trip hazard. Basketball court is fenced off, so I'm thinking that work is going to start soon. Would that be right, Eric? If he's still here.
Yeah, I'm still here. We're expecting next week the basketball court work will start. Yep.
And then we're working on the tennis court and the fencing around the baseball field as well. We'll keep you posted on that. On April 16th, while driving east on Brookside Avenue toward Broadway, he observed the left traffic light signal system for vehicles that make left turns going north onto Broadway was not working because the red light signal was not being lit up at all. So he reported the problem to Menands police. 4 days later, when he returned, it was working. So he was delighted that State DOT did the repair. Quite a few residents, including himself, are concerned that freight trains, which go through our village between 10 and 7, sometimes blow their train whistles. He said he spoke to Don, and Don was going to speak to CP Rail Police dealing with this issue. Again, I mean, it does happen occasionally, but I think the amount Bill mentions it, I think he's hearing the siren on First Street in Watervliet more than he's hearing it in Menands. Since Valero Fuel Station on Broadway has been closed for several months, he wants to know when they're opening. There are some signs on Lower Menands which need to be replaced. And thank you for your time and your consideration. Any other trustees, anybody else have anything else they wanted to talk about?
I have, when we get a chance. The first thing is leak detection has been completed. They found 12 areas of concern. Some have been resolved already. There is one that's going to be it's been a problem because it's been on there for the last 2 years. And I know that they had spoken to Albany Truck Sales has a leak on their service line, and so I wanted permission to write a letter to them telling them that they need to repair it, or we have to do something else to repair, because they're losing. They estimate 15,000 gallons of water a day. It's an estimate by what leak detection said, and so I'd like to see if we can address that problem.
Don, I know it's somewhat related to that. Do we have the results back from the survey of the reservoir?
We haven't received the final report yet. I know that they were there last Thursday or Friday. They were there doing this. They went in for a second time, but I haven't heard any results on that.
Eric, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can give a brief summary. So the cleaning operation, the diver, the scuba diver, the cleaning operation all went very well. From a sanitary standpoint, the tank is in better condition than it was before. It's in from a sanitary perspective is in great condition. From an inspection standpoint and attempting to identify where this if there is a leak that's heading towards the back towards Sage. There was nothing obvious in what they found. And again, we will get a formal report coming. But on the tank in the rear portion that in theory would lead towards that property, there was no evidence of cracking or any siltation that looked like it would be suggesting a leak, anything of that nature. There was a repair in the compartment of the tank nearest the driveway and towards the front of the tank that had a repair done previously. Some of that repair is starting to look a bit suspect. There might be a problem in that area, but unlikely any defect in that area would be causing water to surface in the rear. So from what we observed to date, there was nothing obvious about the tank condition that is leading towards a surface water issue coming from the tank, in the back of the property.
So I don't know if I'm putting the cart before the horse. I guess first question: how difficult do you think will it be to fix the previous repair?
I don't have an answer to that yet. It's a complex question and also a complex answer. Some of the complexities there, that the tank doesn't isolate and valve well, and so draining the tank is difficult. So we really need to get our head around, is there something that can be done while the tank is full. And so this would be some unique, solutions if we can head down that path. So it's going to need some good thought. That's the one that's in the front.
Okay. And is there any, and again, you can tell me if we should, if we need to wait until we get the final report, but is there any indication of what may be causing the problems that the residents of Upper Sage Hill brought to our attention a few meetings ago?
Again, there's no connection that we're seeing from the tank to that water on Sage Hill. Could it be from groundwater? Could it be from another part of the water system? Those are all potentials. It just does not appear that it's coming from the tank.
And then Mike had commented that he went to take a sample and the water was dried up. So it's not making a whole lot of sense that it's coming from a leak somewhere, because why would it dry up? So that's just added more to the story, more confusion to the story.
And the trick being the water on Sage Hill was identified to have some fluoride in it, right? And so we're buying water from Troy fluoride adds fluoride to their water, and fluoride doesn't degrade when it's exposed to organics and so forth. So it is a good indicator of following drinking water. But in this case, it's hard to find that connection right now of where from the drinking water system is this coming from.
So there was or there wasn't fluoride in the water that Mike tested?
In the earlier testing, and Don or Meg, maybe you remember the dates better than I do, but in some of the first rounds of testing, there was fluoride. And then fortunately or unfortunately, Troy had to terminate their fluoride addition because of supply chain issues. They have not been able to get their fluoride in, it seems like 4 or 5 months. And so, that testing exercise isn't productive right now until they start putting fluoride back in again.
And that test was done by the resident. That wasn't done by the village that showed the fluoride.
Okay.
Did we test that to find out? Because there could have been numerous causes of it. I'm sure Erica, there's often more than one cause of things, and it's very possible that none of them are the village's doing. But did we get any sense of that? If when we tested it, if we found fluoride anywhere?
I think the test that Mike did do, it didn't show fluoride, but that may have been after Troy stopped putting the fluoride in.
That's my recollection also too, Meg, is that when we tested, it was after the Troy stopped putting the fluoride in.
Are there other tests like testing for chlorine?
So the difficult thing with chlorine, once chlorine comes into contact with organics, the chlorine, the organics eat the chlorine essentially, and so it's not a great test for trying to make a correlation from drinking water. So, if the next steps to me are, we did this leak detection test, and I was involved in leak detection, so I don't know if they tried to look in this area specifically. That area is very difficult to use leak detection for assessment because it's all done with acoustics, and the water system in that area is all supplied by, continuous pump operation. So when they're doing this acoustic listening to the pipes and trying to find leaks, there's always pumps running. And so I'm just not sure the acoustic testing is effective there. And sort of the traditional leak detection method that we conducted may not have been productive. But then beyond that, it's like, we maybe some vacuum excavation, and you start just looking and trying to chase where this water might have been coming from. It's there. I don't know of any other, easy way from this point.
Okay. And and I don't know if you know this or if Meg or Don know, has anyone communicated with the residents in that area? I'm always hesitant to do so myself and be told, well, I've heard from 5 people already. I just figured it would be good to have a central.
Yeah, Mike is staying in touch with people.
Good. I assumed that. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we're really going to need something definitive before we can say anything. I mean, seems like we're still in kind of an area where we don't know one way or the other. Although, I feel for especially the people where the water's running down into their property and eroding and kind of really playing havoc on their property. So
Yeah, it's a difficult.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say it's a difficult situation in that the village is examining their infrastructure and trying to confirm that it's not coming from our infrastructure, our system, but there could be other causes not related to the village that are causing this.
And what I think something that we had talked about before, there could be multiple issues causing it, that's what it seemed like when it was first brought to us before, multiple issues. And it's very possible that none of them were caused by the village, but it does seem like there are a few issues that all funnel together and make for the perfect storm.
Agreed. Well said.
Yeah, thank you. I think the hand up, is that, this is Doug from Upper Sage?
Yes, it is. Can you hear me?
You're a little soft.
Okay, let me turn this up. I'm not an expert at this. Can you hear me any better?
A little bit.
Okay. Sorry about my connection. Actually, the residents have not been contacted whatsoever by Mike. I've been chasing him for the better part of 2 weeks. I just got a text back from him today that he's going to call me tomorrow, but there's been no communication. As for being dry in our backyard, it is not dry. After about a week about a week, we haven't had any rain other than last night and today. It's been extremely hot and it's still wet in the backyard. Still muddy to the point where you step in it and your feet sinks in several inches. I was at both dives by the diving guys that were in the back. The leak in the front, it is actually a leak. I was there. The gentleman came out. He said it's an issue, and there's water pooling in the front of the tank. And I asked him, could that possibly manifest itself toward the back? He said anything could happen. I asked him, does he know anything about the pipes? Could it be the pipes? He said that the blueprints he saw, there were pipes literally everywhere. They don't know exactly where they go. They're very old. And he said it was a shock repair in the front with a bladder in it. I do understand that you can't valve it off or whatever. But I find it hard to believe, to be dismissed, that it is not leaking, that it is still wet in the backyard. And I have not seen Mike in 2 weeks to collect any samples in my backyard. So I don't know where he came back to collect samples and it was dry, maybe on that side of the fence, but this side of the fence, it's still a mud hole. So I just want it to go away. I don't want, I don't want to cause a big stink. I just want it to be found, stick a cork in it, and let's get it done. The guy did check the back tank. He said the back tank looks pristine, beautiful. The epoxy's still in great shape. There's no flaking. There's no nothing other than the sediment. So I was like, great, we're off to the races. It's got to be a pipe or something. But then it's in the front. So I don't know if it's, and again, I'm not an engineer. I'm not a hydrologist. I'm just thinking maybe some type of wicking or capillary action, if that's the correct terms. I don't know, with the water along the bottom of the tank. I'm not exactly sure. It's just kind of frustrating that everybody's so quickly to dismiss it, when even the guy who's diving says the front tank is not in good shape. And if you walked up there, I would say 2 days ago before the rain, it is right in front of the tank. It is just mush water everywhere. So it's definitely leaking in the front of the tank. I just don't know how it's making it back here unless it's a pipe.
All right. Well, we're definitely not dismissing it. We're still working on it.
Okay.
And we're
Like,
waiting on,
you know,
I don't know, there's a lot of feedback right now. I don't know.
I do that every week, and I've not been getting even, I don't want to say the warm and fuzzies, I've been not even been getting crickets. I get nothing.
Doug, I'm having a real hard time hearing you right now.
Okay, I mean, I just want some type of communication to let us know what's going on. Because I mean, I really worry about, you know, our house. I mean, it was still pouring out the front of my house down the driveway. I don't know, and this is after it just finally started coming out the front of the house, probably 4 days ago. And that's after, you know, it had been 70, 80 degrees for, you know, 3-4 days and hadn't rained for a week. So I'm just, you know, and for the first time ever, we actually had water in our basement 2 weeks ago. As for this leak drying up, I mean, it's still there. It has not dried up. So I think, you know, I don't know if it's blind digging that needs to be done or whatever, but it just gets very frustrating to see this water coming out even when it's 80, 90 degrees. So
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sorry I'm venting my frustration. It's just so.
No, that's right.
It seems like we can't find it.
Right. And like I said, we're not dismissing it. We're continuing whatever avenues we can to come to the bottom of it.
Okay. Okay. I just, if you guys could communicate a little bit better. I mean, I've been kind of nosy and whatever, been back there when the guys are there because I can literally see them, you know, right outside the back window.
Yeah. We have to get their final report.
Yeah. Well, from what I hear, it's not going to be good. At least that's what the gentleman that actually dove there told me. He said there's quite a few issues that he addressed 5 years ago that hadn't been rectified that still need to be rectified. He gave me the laundry list, but that's his job, not mine. You know, and they're not really related to my issue, which is, you know, I mean, that's human tendency. Me, but you know, I'm just looking for some type of resolution. So anything we can do, like I said, I told Mike, if you guys need to come on this side of the fence, whatever, I'd love to get something rectified sooner than later.
Okay.
But
And Doug, I just hold on one second. There. Sorry, I muted you. We're getting a little bit of feedback. You can unmute yourself when you want to talk, just so that everyone can hear. So I just want to know, since the meeting that you were at, we've brought this up at every meeting, just wanting to follow up, seeing if there's any news, when the divers were coming, when the submarine was coming, if there was any news, waiting for the report. So we just want you to know we're definitely not dismissing it, and we want to get to the bottom of it for your sake, for your neighbors' sake, for the village's sake. So we're on it. And if you don't, for some reason you don't hear back, you for any number of reasons, call Don in the office, and he can rattle some chains if he needs to.
okay, excellent. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll follow up in, what is it, 3 weeks at the next meeting?
Okay, yeah, I guess I'm waiting for the call. Evidently, Mike's going to call me tomorrow, so he'll probably tell me everything I already know, but at least I'll be in the loop.
Sure. Well, and if there's any questions, if you have any questions from what he says, again, feel free to follow up with us. And again, we plan to bring it up again at the next meeting until there's some resolution all around, some closure on it, that it can be resolved.
All right. There was some comments from Steve Boulay. He wanted to say the new owners at Mid-City Plaza are doing a nice job of cleaning up the buildings. Tim responded that they've done more in 3 months than in the prior 20 years. They absolutely are doing a great job. He's working diligently down there. He was wondering when Cranesville, what the timeline is for Cranesville for cleaning up from their demo. I believe Lyle is still working with them to get that done. And then he was wondering about the previous discussion about all village streets to have alternate parking. It's impossible for 2 cars to go up and down Brookside on court days, and the same for Lions when there are events at the park. As far as Brookside on court dates, they put no parking on one side of the street, so people shouldn't be parking on both sides. And then for the larger events on the park, they also put no parking on Woodside around the whole block. So, but as far as the discussion on that, that has not gone any further than what we discussed previously. Does anybody else from the board have anything? Or
I'm, as Meg knows, I'm working with Rebecca from NICOM to draft legislation consistent with the Public Officers Law and the Open Meetings Law to allow us to utilize video conferencing in extenuating circumstances beyond for members of our public bodies in Menands. That includes the Village Board of Trustees, the Zoning Board of Appeals, and so on and so forth. If and when necessary. Right now, we're still covered under the governor's executive order, but once that expires, I'm hoping that we will already have a local law in place to govern extenuating circumstances for members of our public bodies. I hope to have a draft resolution of that for our next meeting.
Was somebody else about this? Did Brian or somebody else, I think, was going to say something at the same time?
Bill.
Who?
Bill was going to say something.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I just want to, this is the last meeting of the fiscal year. So even though you will get vouchers for the next 2 meetings that say encumbrance, which apply to this fiscal year, I wanted to give you a quick update of where we stand. Currently, we're at 91.7% of our expenditure budget. So we spent 91% of it. We will not hit 100% because we've only got 1 payroll and maybe 8 days, 7 days, something like that. So that will be the big chunk, that and Niagara Mohawk over the next 2 meetings. So we're going to end up not hitting what we put in the budget. So we're going to save money on the expenditure side. And I think it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $300,000 less than we forecast to spend. And that's on the adjusted budget. And our revenues are pretty good. Currently, we are almost 15% over our budget on revenues received. We received 371,000 more in sales tax than I had forecast. So sales tax has returned. It's doing good. So we're doing good there. And currently we are about $600,000 over what was budgeted for revenues. So we're going to have a fairly good year, hopefully. In the general fund, water and sewer are fine. Water's got 1 bill to come in, which is for the last 6 months of water purchases from Troy. We didn't get their bill yet, so that'll come out probably the next board meeting. And it'd probably be 200-some thousand, but depends on what it is. But other than that, we're doing, this is a good year. Our the boys have, department heads have been doing real good, keeping things, not buying unless they absolutely have to. And we're also maintaining our equipment, so everything looks good right now.
Great news.
Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Excellent.
I like the prognosis.
I have one question for Eric, if I could.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Brian and Seth and myself, as Seth has mentioned, had attended several sessions at the NICOM conference, and there was one session in which they discussed the, numerous federal and state grants that are currently available. Does your firm actively look at these to see what might be suitable for us and things we should be pursuing? And is there anything you can note to us that we should,
Yeah,
that we should in
absolutely.
particular be working to submit?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, like there was quite a few.
We've had some internal conversations now that the CFA has been announced between Nicolette, Matt Rogers, and myself, just doing some initial planning on things that we might, see that there's an opportunity to connect some dots of a problem and a funding opportunity, and we'll share those soon. The funding applications are due towards the end of July. And so, that's something we'll want to get moving on quickly. I know, we are in a position that, we've got, as a village, we have a lot on our plate. We got the large, grant through the WIA program. And so, but we'll pass along some other ideas of opportunities that might be out there to pursue for sure. But yeah, that's something we're doing regularly. And, Meg hears from me about grants probably way too often, but.
Wonderful. I figured that would be the case, but I just wanted to ask because they hand you this information and it's fairly thick and hefty, and
sure,
it's substantial.
It is. There's
and we want to be part of it. So
there's a lot of programs in the CFA. Probably upwards of 20 programs, and it does take careful analysis and experience to find which ones make sense and be able to write compelling applications. The last thing we want to do is write applications just for the sake of writing applications. We want them to be successful and for things that will benefit the village.
Thanks, Eric.
Sure.
All right. Anybody else?
Not this meeting.
All right. Need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes, that was a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, next meeting, we're not sure about in-person or virtual. It's not until June 6th, and hopefully things will quiet down by then, so we'll be in person again, but the notice will be up on the website and note it elsewhere, so we'll know for sure. So everyone stay safe and have a good night.
You too. Thank you, Meg.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye.
See ya.